Welcome back, brothers and sisters of Christ. My name is Brianna and I'm back with another video. And today's video is, are you being called to the church? This video might be a little lengthy, y'all, because I took a lot of notes. The Lord had me up at 4 o'clock in the morning writing this down. Well, I wrote it in my notes in my phone, and then I transferred it to my notebook today, and it took like an hour to do. I don't know why it's glaring. But anywho, are you being called to the church? So a little background on my church experience. I didn't necessarily grow up in the church. Like, as a young child, I would go to church with my grandmothers whenever we stayed over their house, like, you know, during the weekend. And I remember just hating getting up early. I always hate getting up early. But I enjoyed Sunday school. I enjoyed the activities and the snacks. And it was just always something about the environment that left me feeling happy and in a good mood. So then my preteen years to teenage years, my mother ended up getting deep into the church. So we would go to church with her, and I used to be so mad because, again, I hate getting up early because we got up early for school during the week. 5 days a week we getting up early. So now we got to get up early for Sunday. So the only day we had to sleep in was Saturday. And y'all, I loved my sleep. I still love my sleep. Like, I'm still trying to break that chain to this day because sleeping is just, y'all know. But I would give my mama a hard time. Like, so she would just end up leaving us and be like, so we won't make her late. And I still feel bad about that. I'm sorry, mommy. But yeah, I did not like going to church. But I will say, like, for the most part, like, okay, it was just, for one, I didn't understand what was going on, okay? But there would be times when the pastor would speak to my situation, even as a teenager, and that would catch my attention. But for the most part, I didn't understand most of what they were talking about and what was going on, like, when they got in depth, like, with scripture and stuff. And I didn't like going to church because it was just simply boring to me. Like, if we being real, it was just boring. So I was always in a bad mood when we had to go to church. But every single time, like, by the time church was over, I was happy and I was in a good mood. Like, it's just like being in the presence of the Lord. Like, even though I didn't know what was going on, just being in the presence always shifted my mood, shifted my spirit. And like, if I missed church, I would feel off. Like, I would feel like something's missing. Like, I'm supposed to be there. Like, I needed to be there. And like, even though I didn't know what was going on, like, something about church just always felt right to me. Even when I didn't want to be there, even when I didn't understand, like, I gravitated towards it. Like, when I was there, I felt good, you know. By the time I'm leaving, like, I'm in a great mood. Like, everything just shifted. So eventually I got to the point I came old enough that I stopped going to church, like, as a young adult. And I became one of those people who, you know, you don't have to go to church to have a relationship with God. People in the church not right, no way. They just want your money, blah, 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 whoop de whoop. You know, that's what everybody say these days. But I was young. And I was just going off a little bit of what I had seen and experienced. But I never end up going to church on my own as an adult. So all my experiences was like, you know, I was young. So it was just like, you haven't even tried it as an adult. You say these things, but, you know, that was so long ago. You were a child. And you didn't really know anything. You didn't really experience, you know, you just hear stuff, see a little stuff. But, you know, you didn't experience being an adult in the church. And that's really what matters. Is being an adult. So you can really understand what's going on. And, like, you know, just a kid, you just, I don't know. But you don't have to go to church to build a relationship with God. However, it is highly encouraged for various reasons. Like, it's so many scripture, like, in the Bible that encourages going to church because, you know, for one, we have gifts that needs to be used. For two, we need that community, that unity, you know, helping each other and uplifting each other. You know, how could there be pastors and preachers if no one's sitting in the church? But I had just thought about one time when I was deep into the world. And I was going out every weekend, drinking almost every day, y'all. And it was an old lady at a local eyebrow shop that invited me to her church. And she told me, like, there was a lot of young girls there that they look like you, you know. I didn't really know what she meant by that. I guess she just mean, like, I don't know, like, young and stuff like that. But it was just so random. I think we were talking about, like, eyebrows or something, and she just came out of nowhere and said that. And at that time, I was in a dark place. So I wasn't mad at it. It made me think. And that's why it's important for us as Christians to plant seeds, because it gives people something to think about and evaluate. She didn't know that I was in a dark place, but I was. So, you know, when she told me that, I wanted to go. And I believe that was like a Saturday, and I think I went clubbing. Of course, I didn't end up attending the following Sunday, but I remember feeling so bad about it. Like, it stuck with me for a little bit, and I felt like I should have went, and I felt like I needed to go. And I don't know. I still think about that to this day, like, wow. But, I mean, obviously it wasn't meant. You know, I wasn't ready. But I felt like that was an attempt for the Lord to, like, try to call me into the church. And then I think about a time when I had got into a car accident, and we landed right in front of a church home. Like, I was walking in the driveway of the church home, everything, like, crying out to the Lord, like, all the things that was going on in my life. And I feel like, aside from him letting me know that he was there with me every step of the way and that everything is going to be okay, I'm like, I'm wondering if that was like a way of him telling me, like, you need to go to church. You need to come to the church. But fast forward to 2023, y'all. I end up developing a personal relationship with the Lord, like super tight, like BFFs to this day. That's what got me here today. But the closer I got to him, like the closer I became to the Lord, there was this strong, deep urge to find a church home and to go to church. Like, it needed to happen ASAP. Like, it was a strong urge. So I prayed and asked the Lord to lead us to a loving church that was welcoming, treated us like family. And then I started looking on Google. I'm not going to say I started, y'all, because I only looked on Google one time. And this one church caught my attention. They had 5 stars, but only a few reviews and a few pictures. And I don't know, I gravitated towards that church. So we ended up going to the church, and that was the first and only church we went to, and the Lord delivered it exactly as I asked. Like, they were so welcoming and so nice to the point that we thought it was fake. Like, and they treat us like family, but we clicked with them immediately. And to this day, we're members of that church. Like, I mean, that was not super long ago, but we're members of the church now. And I just think about that, and I'm just blessed that he led us to a good church home the first try, because I was just ready to get to it. Like, I was just ready to get to it and lock in. I'm just happy that we didn't have to like search around from church to church. But if we did, that would have been fine. I would have been willing to do that, because my thing is, like, people talk about like churches, like, oh, all these churches are the same, and I didn't like this church, this. It's plenty of churches in the world, y'all. And it just trips me out, because if we don't like a hairstylist, we don't like our barber, we don't like the eyebrow lady, we don't like the car dealership, we don't like this apartment complex, baby, we're going to find another one. We're going to find one that best suits us. So I never understood why people cannot find a church that best suits them. It's just, I mean, it's just obvious that you just don't want to, I guess, because if you really did, you would go the extra mile to look. But I'm not willing. I mean, I'm willing to do that. I would be willing to do that. So I didn't have to do that, but if it came down to it, I would. So I can honestly say, like, joining the church has been edifying, y'all. Like, it really changed me in so many ways already, as it should. That's how church should be. Like, you should never be going into the church and coming out the same way that you joined. And that's one thing that my pastor always says and push. Like, I don't want nobody leaving the church the way they came in. And I can honestly say that I have changed. You know, I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely not the same person I was when I started going to church. Like, there's structure. I'm being spiritually fed. I have community. I gained wisdom. It helped me grow as a person and spiritually. I'm no longer prideful, because I used to be like, I ain't going to be under nobody. Like, I'm no longer prideful when it comes to my leader and just people in general. You know, there's mentors there that can help you. They're uplifting. You know, the people and being there just makes you want to do better and be better within yourself and within your spiritual journey. If you're a church, if you're not looking at the people in your church and the leaders of your church and not wanting to be better and do better, then I don't know. Because when you go to church, you should want to do better. You should want to be better. You should feel like convicted, like, I'm not doing enough, or I need to stop doing this. Like, you need, you know, you should get those feelings. And that is why going to church changed me, because when I went there, I just knew, like, I always knew I wanted to be better and do better within my relationship with the Lord, just having a relationship with him. But when I got to the church, it was just like, you know, it was just on a different level, wanting to do better and be better. And then the feeling that the Lord gave me is that we needed a leader, we need a guidance community, and that we have an assignment at the church. Like, we still go through spiritual warfare, don't get me wrong, but let me tell you, it was so bad, y'all. Before joining church, the spiritual warfare was just terrible, because that is a way the enemy can really get to you and attack your mind, and because you're isolated, you have no community. And when you have like anointed people praying for you and with you, you can be touched, but it's not, you know, quite often, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be as if like you don't have nobody. Like, what people don't understand is, like, my pastor always said this as well, like, you can't do this by yourself. We can't do this by ourselves. And it's so true. Like, you can, I believe, but it's going to be super hard to do it by yourself. Like, those are the people that the enemy target and preys on, because you're isolated. You don't have nobody to talk to you, speak life into you, uplift you, give you a word, and pray with you and pray for you, because those things are super important. Like, when getting prayed for at the church and with the church, it does something to your spirit, does something to your soul. We can pray for ourselves, but y'all know when it's more people praying and stuff, it's way more powerful. So the enemy knows that you are harder to target when you have the community. So he wants to snatch that away from you. And when the Lord calls you to the church, remember, children of God, like, the enemy will try to run you out, like he did it to me. Like, we just kept coming up with silly reasons and excuses to stop going. But deep down inside, I knew that we were supposed to be there. I knew that's where we needed to be. I literally asked the Lord for it, and he delivered it that way. But the enemy got into my head, and he was throwing confusion my way, like just all types of nonsense that didn't even make sense, you know. It was just stupid stuff. But the Lord gave me confirmation, and he let me know I was right where I needed to be, and that he brought me there to begin with. Like I said, like, he delivered it the way I prayed for it. And I was literally living in an answered prayer. Like, this church was literally everything that I prayed for. And the enemy don't want you to have community. He doesn't want you to use your gifts. A lot of us have gifts that need to be used. And some of us, it needs to be used in the church. We all have different callings. We all have different gifts. And I will say a lot of them is to be used in the church. The enemy does not want that. He doesn't want us to fulfill any type of purpose that we have, that God has for our lives. He doesn't want us to elevate in any way or get any closer to the Lord than what we can already be. Like, he wants us to fall back into the world. And that is so much easier to do when you have no support system, y'all. Like, it's so much more tempting. Like, just imagine having a community, a church of people, and y'all, you know, you basically doing everything with these people. You don't have to. But I have an auntie, and she spent a lot of time with the church people, and a lot of people in the family didn't understand why. But as I became an adult, I understood why. Because a lot of people in my family were not within the church. And the more time you spend with your church community, it's just uplifting. You need to be around people that are on the same path and journey as you, so you can be uplifted, so you won't fall back into sin and temptation. You know, not saying that you can't just because you're in the church, but it will be harder, you know, because when you're around those people, at least people that are in the church that's truly living by the Lord's word, like I said, you're going to want to do better. You're going to want to be better. They're setting good examples, and it's going to rub off on you, you know. So that's why it's just so important, that unity, the community, that support system. But long story short, to this day, if I miss church, I feel off. Like, since a child, I had that feeling. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I'm pretty sure there's anybody, you know, other people in the world, but I don't know if it's the everybody thing or just a me thing. Like, I feel off, and I feel bad and guilty. Not even bad and guilty. Like, I feel off. Like, my energy and spirit feels off, and I need to be in the church. Like, I know that's where I need to be. And I love going to church. I go to church in a good mood. I leave in a good mood. Versus when I was a kid, I was going there in a bad mood, leaving in a good mood though. But as an adult, I really do enjoy church, and you get a lot out of church. And Another thing that I do want to touch though also is that you don't need to be perfect to go to church. Like, a lot of people have this thought that you have to be a certain way before going to church. Like, no. God works on you in the process as you attend. We need to understand that we have to start somewhere. Like, that's just another way the enemy gets into our head. He makes us feel like we're not good enough to go to church yet. Like, oh, let me do this. Oh, I need to do that. Okay, I'm gonna stop drinking first. No. He wants you to go now, because once you get into that church, he's going to work on you regardless. But once you start going to church, like I said, when you see how the other people are, it's going to make you want to do better and be better if you're in a good church. So we don't have to be perfect, although nobody is perfect. But you know what I mean? You don't have to be a certain way to go to church. Like, don't hold it off. You should go to church at your lowest moments, actually. Those people are going to pray for you. They're going to uplift you. Like, and I feel like that's why, you know, something that a lot of people don't understand. I think that's a lot of times why there's a lot of people in the church that's like, you know, still like of the world, or just, you know, doing certain things, is because some of these people are still learning. Some of these people are still being worked on by the Lord. Like, just because you join the church, start going to church, doesn't mean you automatically change in the snap of a finger. No, it is a process. But going to church is a great start. So I think that's actually it. I thought this video was going to be way longer because my notes were pages and pages long. But but if you feel the urge to find a church home, you feel like God is calling you to the church, be sure to pray and ask God to lead you to a good church in his eyes that is good for you. And, you know, because we all know that all churches are not good, but we also know that all churches are not bad. That's something that we need to understand. Like, people, it's just like the stereotype about churches, and we just take it and run with it. But just like all churches are not good, all churches are not bad, y'all. So there is a church out there for you. So we have to pray and ask the Lord to guide us and lead us to that church, so we can reach our full potential in whatever it is that the Lord is calling us to do, wants us to do, need us to do. And yeah, that's just that. But there were a few passages regarding church, but there wasn't like actual scriptures. There was like passages, so I won't be reading off the scriptures. If I find something, I can put it though in the description, y'all. But that is it for today. If this word is not for you, it's for somebody else. And remember, I'm telling y'all this because I love y'all. God bless.